My name is James Green. I'm a Senior Account Executive with PolSource, and thank you very much for taking the time to join us this afternoon. Today, we're going to be focusing on extending sales into the field with the PolSource Field Service Quote application. This allows us to turn your field agents into revenue agents. Today's webinar is, as I said, sponsored by PolSource and co-hosted with Salesforce, and we've included graciously our customer Aggreko has allowed to join us today. So thank you very much for your taking the time to join in. Let me jump ahead here. Great. So let's take a look at the agenda for today. First and foremost, we'll meet the team, and then we'll talk about the current state of Salesforce Configure Price Quote and Salesforce Field Service. We'll take a look at the PolSource Field Service Quote in action. We have a great demo for you today, as well as our customer story with Aggreko. We've got some time for Q&A, and at the end, we'd like to talk about how can you get started to see if your organization is right for the Field Service Quote application. So again, thank you very much, everybody, for taking the time to join in today. As I said, I hope everybody's having a great holiday season. So let's meet the team. As I said, my name is James Green. I'm a Senior Account Executive here for PolSource. I've been in the Salesforce ecosystem for about 7 years now, and I'm based in the Bay Area. And this is the team that'll be joining me today. Donna, would you like to kick us off?
Sure. Hi, my name is Donna Lachele, for those of you who cannot pronounce it. I'm based in Louisiana, in Lafayette, Louisiana, the center of Cajun country. You might notice that by my accent. I have been with Aggreko for 12 years and been working with Salesforce and the like for about 6 years now, and looking forward to working to talk to you all about our experience a little bit later in the webinar. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Donna.
All right, I think that's me. So as you can tell, I'm not from Louisiana from my accent. So I appreciate Donna going first. My name is Steve Hupp. I am a success architect here at Salesforce. I've been with Salesforce a little over 4 years. I've been in field service for 3 of those 4, both as a solutions engineer, as well as now in the success CSG space. So very excited to be here, and excited to talk through kind of the state of field service, and also kind of how Salesforce is innovating to meet some of the needs and challenges of the field service industry today.
Thank you, Stephen.
I'll go next. Thanks, Steve. Thank Donna. I'm not gonna talk about accents here now, but thanks for teeing me up for it. Hi, also, my name is Amit Rothstein. Nice to meet you. I live in Bedford, Massachusetts, and I run the field service practice here at PolSource. As an ex-clicker myself, I've been doing field service implementations since 2012 now, and focusing specifically on the Salesforce field service solutions since 2015. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Amit.
Hi, everyone. This is Alex Lawrence, based in Philadelphia. I've been with PolSource 5 years. 4 of those years focused on CPQ and billing, now Revenue Cloud, and have been working with Amit and others at PolSource for the FSQ package that we'll be talking about today, as well as with Donna on the with Aggreko to implement CPQ and help to grow their business. So we'll be chatting about that a bit more later.
Excellent. Well, thank you all greatly for the introductions. Really appreciate it. We've got a great presentation and demonstration for everybody today. And we'd like to kind of kick it off by passing it back to Stephen to talk about the current state of Salesforce Configure Price Quote and Salesforce Field Service. So Stephen, I'll move the film strip for you.
Sure.
And we'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, well, we'll be focusing primarily on Salesforce Field Service, right? As that's really my area of expertise. But it wouldn't be coming from Salesforce if I didn't put up the safe harbor statement. I'm sure nobody on this call has ever seen this before. I'm sure this is all brand new. So I will just very briefly talk about it. So I will be talking about some forward-looking things when it comes to what Salesforce is doing to innovate. We always recommend that you make any purchasing decisions on functionality available today, not functionality available in the future. And again, I believe that was probably all brand new information for everybody here. So I appreciate that. You can go ahead.
Great, thank you.
This slide did not change on my side. There we go. Okay. I think I was on a little bit of a delay. So the state of field service, right? So I think everybody on the call could agree that 2020 has been a year like none other for a lot of different reasons, right? First and foremost, and the one that I think most everybody will remember when they think about 2020 is, the pandemic and coronavirus. And it's affected a lot of industries in a lot of different ways, and field service is no different. So if you see that stat right there on the right-hand side, this is based off a study that was done by Gartner. 88% believe that they are not fully prepared for the impact of coronavirus. And that's a huge number, right? Very, very, very large number, and very concerning, right, for a lot of industries. And they're scrambling to figure out how they're going to be able to meet the needs of the world today. Some of those being new safety requirements, right? Contactless service, finding out a way to be able to, interact with customers in their home without really kind of interacting with them, which is a whole new kind of process and prospect. Increase in overall work backlog, right? Because a lot of companies had to bring their workers from the field into things like Center of Excellence, or just not having them go out and meet with customers in general, work starts to pile up. We can't get people out there. We have to kind of put it on hold. And now this work backlog starts to happen. And, businesses start to get very concerned that they're not going to be able to complete the work in a reasonable amount of time. And then also fueling that is the reduction in staff. I don't want to lighten any type of emphasis on how much the coronavirus or the pandemic has impacted every industry. And some are more than others in terms of workforce. But you think about the field service space. These are folks that are going out and interacting with customers in their home. They're going out to places of business. So companies have had to reduce staff, right? And as you reduce staff, then your increase in your work backload just continues to increase, right? Because now you've got the same amount of work that you had yesterday, but you've got less people to do it, and you still can't get folks out there to actually complete that work out in the field in a reasonable amount of time. So very, very important, very, very top of mind for a lot of businesses in the field service space. But as significant as impactful as that has been, there's other challenges that continue to, kind of plague the field service industry, and companies trying to, adapt with technology to continue to serve their customers. And, there was the State of the Service report that just came out. I think our VP of Product, Eric Jacobson, actually put that out on his LinkedIn page. So if you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend it. But one of the key statistics that we pulled out of there was 45%, right? 45%, almost half of the field workers that were part of that report stated that they have wasted significant time because of inaccurate or outdated job information. So that's huge, right? It's absolutely huge, a huge number. And when you think about, again, the pandemic and needing the most up-to-date information, I mean, how you can think about the overall impact. If I show up as a technician and I don't have the right information, I might go into the wrong entrance, which is not an entrance that has been fully, sanitized, or maybe it hasn't been cleared of people for you to go in and do your job. Unbelievable amount of impact there in the field. So the huge part of that is keeping the information accurate for the technician so that they can take advantage of that while they're out in the field. So, pretty impactful things here. Obviously, the pandemic being the biggest, in my opinion, but the field service industry has a number of challenges that Salesforce is aiming to help with. And I think that's going to lead us into the next slide. All right, so how is Salesforce innovating? We'd like to say that Salesforce is always innovating, right? We're an innovative company. We're always, what we think to be on the precipice of technology, always in the forefront. So I wanted to highlight a few things that I really felt hit a lot of the notes that I just mentioned about the challenges that are facing the industry today. So the first one being the visual remote assistant. So for those of you who haven't seen this announcement, we actually partnered with a company called Texi. And we released this visual remote assistant product. And what it is it really is a fully contactless service type of a solution. So if you think about a customer at home or maybe in a place of business, they need help with something, being able to call into a support center, which might be made up of technicians, right, in a center of excellence, not necessarily a call center, and being able to have a two-way video chat. And not only a two-way video chat, but also the technician on the back end is actually annotating on the screen, right? Is actually showing the customer, hey, you need to pull out that wire, or you need to plug that in, or you need to press the red button, and here's where it is, walking them through solving their issue, giving them the ability to help themselves, avoiding a technician having to go out to their place of business or to their home. So with the state of everything today, very, very impactful. It's something that can get spun up and implemented very, very quickly. So we're very excited about it, and a lot of buzz going around in the industry about this one specifically. But it's out there, it's available. Take a look. If you haven't heard of it, reach out to your account executive or your success manager, get you some more information. It's going to be one that I think is going to be impactful, heading into next year for sure. The second one is offline briefcase. So this kind of plays off of what I was mentioning from the State of the Service report, which is inaccurate information. right? And for those of you who have worked with our mobile application, you know that the priming, right, the offline availability of data in the mobile app is pretty rigid, right? We have a lot of guardrails up in terms of what can be primed and how much can be primed. So offline briefcase aims to solve for that. So aims to provide customers more flexibility in how much and what data is actually going to be primed to the device that the technicians can now take advantage of. So right now, this is a pilot feature. So pilot in winter, slated to go GA in spring as of right now. So it's going to be very impactful to make sure that technicians have the right information and they have it available to them both online and offline. So very excited about that. Next is Asset 360. So Asset 360 is a partnership that we have with ServiceMax. It just went GA, I believe, in the middle of November. And in essence, what it is it's a package built solution, right? So a package that was jointly built by Salesforce and ServiceMax that was built on top of our core data model to really allow customers with very asset-centric businesses, which are a lot of these companies that are, field service customers are serving that are experiencing some of these challenges, to be able to, interact with customers or service their customers in all new ways. And what I mean by that is the automatic assignment of, say, entitlements or warranties. For those of you who have worked with Salesforce, you know that assigning an entitlement to a case or work order, it's kind of tough, right? You have to kind of build out your own logic in order to accomplish that. It doesn't just happen. So this solution with ServiceMax is aiming to provide a more user-friendly UI to build out that logic to automatically assign warranties and entitlements to work orders and cases as they get created, and also be able to provide pre-built workflows and things for customers to walk through processes like return merchandise authorizations, inventory management, things like that. So very, very exciting and going to be very impactful, we think, heading into next year. And then finally, Appointment Assistant. So again, Appointment Assistant is really going to relate to, again, the current state of things with the world and the pandemic and coronavirus, as it's really aiming to provide that Uber-like experience with customers to show them where their tech is, how far their tech is away, and then be able to go back to a map view and see as their tech gets closer. So even though it might not be as impactful as, say, the visual remote assistant, avoiding the technician coming out altogether, you still have this notion of, as a customer, I know how far my tech is away. I can make sure I put my mask on. I can make sure to get my kids or my animals, into different rooms so the tech has a wide open space to do what they need to do. Maybe they're servicing my washer, my heater, whatever that is. So being able to provide transparency to customers on where their tech is, when they're going to be there, is going to be hugely important. That currently also is pilot as of right now, slated to go GA in spring. So that's how Salesforce is trying to innovate, or is innovating, trying to adapt to some of the challenges that are in the current state of field service. So that was everything I wanted to cover. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Stephen. That's fantastic. And thank you for sharing all those great insights. We'd like to kind of pivot now and pass it to Amit, who's going to walk us through at a high level what the field service quote application from PolSource looks like and some unique use cases that it can help to solve. So Amit, feel free to take it from here.
Thanks, James. So FSQ, the reason we're all here today, thank you very much, Steve. This was absolutely great. And every one of those items that you presented are key to our customers. So it's not just innovation, it's actually respecting the feedback from the field and innovating on that. So that's absolutely awesome. Thank you. So yeah, FSQ. So when we developed our field service quote, we had three main points in mind. The first one is that the expert advice is worth money to the company, right? As a customer, I'm more likely to agree to an upgrade or to a break fix quote from an expert that is already on site and knows the assets and I trust. Secondly, not using the point of service as a point of selling is a wasted opportunity, right? We have a company representative already presented on site with the customer. So not using that for increasing revenue is a missed opportunity. And last, field service engineers are not salespeople. And I think everybody who knows field services can relate to that. So we focused our efforts on simplifying the selling process and minimizing the products that we offer on site for upselling to get the most relevant one, those who are most likely to be easily sold and agreed by the customer and accepted by the customers. And our rule of thumb is that if you have to have a salesperson to create the quote, then FSQ isn't the best fit for you, right? I mean, if you can have your technicians, however, create the quote, then FSQ is definitely your way to go. You can go to the next slide. Thanks. So with FSQ, with PolSource Field Service Quote, we can extend our service teams, essentially even include subcontractors that work for us indirectly to create accurate quotes and even sell our products to the end customers, right? We bridge that, connectivity issues with subcontractors when we use FSQ with the B2B2C methods. With FSQ by itself works great both for quoting work in advance, like planned labor, cost of parts to replace, etc., and also for adding add-ons, add-on products like warranties, spare parts, or parts consumed to the work to the work actuals. So FSQ will work pre-work when you want to quote the effort and the cost of the work that is planned to do, but it worked as effectively well on the post-work when you want to add on additional sales to the work itself. So in the upcoming demo, you can see how easy it is, how quickly we can actually close the quoting and selling cycle using our FSQ in the field by the technicians. So I think you can kick off the demo now.
Great, thank you, Amit. Perfect, so let me open this up, everybody, here and turn on our demo.
We have here a work order with the work order line item for the carrier 12.5 ton to be installed at Burlington. That particular asset is associated with this product, and we can see the details of the product here, an image and a description and the product code. It also has some related items, including product offer records, these options here, which show additional products which can be sold or discussed alongside this product, including oil and air filters and 2 or 3 of the warranty plans as well. As based on those offers that are associated with that product, we can create these product offer records here as well. We've also created an additional work order line item for the aftermarket service discussion. So this is a prompt to the technician to talk with the customer about these product offers. Okay, so that's being done automatically based on some products associated with the asset that we're installing. We can also now go and assign this work to one of our technicians. I'm going to get candidates, assign it to Alan Reed for Wednesday, schedule that to Alan. I've now logged in here as Alan Reed on the mobile device, and I can see that service appointment here for Wednesday. I can see the details of the work that needs to be done and where, and I've got my work order line items, with number 1 being the installation of that particular device. So I'm just going to quickly mark that as completed. And go to the aftermarket discussion. I want to go and view my product offers. And I can see here that we've got the air filter and the silver plan and the platinum warranty plan, and some other items such as the oil filter as well. Now, during my installation, I installed or left behind 3 additional oil filters, which the customer was happy to accept. I did talk with them about a couple of the maintenance plans as well. We talked about the silver plan, but that was rejected. we did talk about the platinum plan, and that's what the customer has decided to go for. So I can select the platinum plan, click on next, and mark that one as accepted. Next and finished, and I might add just one more an extra hour's work for the oil filters, and that's been accepted as well. Okay, so we've got those details here on the work order. I can mark that as complete as well. Save that. Complete the installation. Go to the work order, here, the original work order. You can see its details, and I want to mark this as closed as well. So the work has now all been done. On the installation, we've left behind a couple of additional air filters, and we've upsold to a platinum plan, and we're completing that as well. Now the data is synced, and we can create our service report. We've got the details here of the additional products and the platinum plan that we've discussed with the customer, and the additional subtotal down there at the bottom of just over 10,000. So we'll get our signature from the customer. And we save that, and we can generate our report. Back in Salesforce now, we've got the service appointment. If we go to the original parent record, the work order, we can see that the product offers have been updated. So you can see that the silver plan was rejected, but the platinum plan has been accepted. And also back on the work order, automatically in the background, the system has created an opportunity which has a stage status of closed won because the customer has signed it and accepted it. And that's also being linked to a quotation in Salesforce CPQ. So we've got the details here of this accepted quotation with the related quote lines for the platinum plan, the labor, and the oil filter. If we go to the opportunity again, we can see that the technician's activity in the field has generated an additional $10,000 worth of business. Now that was a work order having some product offers associated to it because of the product and the asset that the work was for, and then the technician being able to close that additional business from the work order activity. That then created a closed won opportunity and the associated accepted quotation. The system will also work in the other way around as well, in as much as a salesperson can create a quotation, have that accepted, and that quotation for a product will generate in its own right a work order with the necessary line items to have the products installed. And again, that cycle will go through to product offers being associated and the technician being able to provide upsell opportunities as well. So we've integrated Salesforce CPQ and Salesforce Field Service so that quotes will create work orders and line items. The technician can present product offers, which if accepted will also create closed won opportunities and accepted quotations.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, that's the demo that we want to provide.
We have here a work order with the work order line item for the...
Sorry about that. So that's really the demo that we wanted to share with everyone today about our field service quote product in action. Hopefully everybody found that informative and useful. We'd like to transition now to pass it off to my colleague. Excuse me. Pass it off to my colleague, Alex, who will be taking us through the Aggreko story from a high level, and then obviously introducing Donna to share her feedback as well. So Alex, I'll transition to you.
Sure. Yeah, the demo was so good that I just couldn't stop there. Thanks, James. So Aggreko has been we've had a long-standing relationship with Aggreko. I first met Donna. I can't believe it's been 4 years almost, Donna. Pretty much as of January, it'll be 4 years. Where we came in order to implement CPQ initially. But a little bit about Aggreko first. If you go into the next slide, I'll sort of intermix the story along with a bit about Aggreko. They are one of the world's largest and most prominent basically power rental companies. And if you see the logo on the bottom of the slide here, that the orange Aggreko logo, you might start to notice it just driving along or out and about anywhere, wherever you are in the world. And so rental of generators and large generators and all the related equipment down to individual parts like cables and related services and everything else. They're based in Scotland, but with offices around the world, including large centers in Saudi Arabia and Houston and regional fulfillment centers and rental centers pretty much sprinkled throughout all over the globe. A large company listed on various exchanges. And if you go into the next slide, James. As I said, we came in to help with CPQ, and this was part of a larger program that Aggreko had going on, and still, I believe, continues to this day, to modernize processes, right? And I think this is a common story, not just for this particular industry, but across many enterprise clients, where there's still manual processes and Excel is still being used, email, even written notes sometimes, where there's sort of siloed pricing and product maintenance, and data's stored in single points, so there's single points of failure. And there's not as much formulaic nature to pricing. Everything is sort of ad hoc as befits a business that grows over time and expands over time and acquires other businesses, etc. So this was part of this program in order to get to bring Aggreko into the 21st century and specifically implement CPQ, so that key part of the sales process, pricing and quoting, could be done in a much more streamlined, automated, controlled fashion. And so that's where we came in and began our relationship by helping to refine some of the pricing processes, refine some of the product structure to help it to fit and get the most out of both the Salesforce platform and Salesforce CPQ. And this is before we even began having conversations about field service and the other aspects of business where we could help. And so, again, over these past 4 years, a lot has changed, and I'll let Donna talk about that journey more and where we are today and what's next. But I think we're quite successful at helping Aggreko get their Salesforce and others and all related people in the company onto the platform using best practice processes and in a more streamlined and automated fashion, and with some even bigger and brighter things coming up. Donna, so I'll pass it off to you. And like I said, Donna and I, we worked together for, as of 4 years ago, and have kept in touch since, through the ups and downs as we've implemented various things for Aggreko and help them to
still have more to come, don't we? Yes. Yeah, as Alex said, we came into this process basically with our customers and our employees telling us it's too hard to do business. We were just struggling with getting business done in every aspect. And so we did embark on this sort of global transformation. As Alex said, we are a very large company, and in each region of our business all over the world, we had a line, if you will, a thread of consistency, but that thread was very thin. Everything that we did was different, and in large part was done in Excel. Alex would like to have joked a whole lot more about the Excel, because we spent lots and lots of time talking about getting rid of that darn Excel form that we won't even use the right language for right now, because we were using several different versions of Excel to quote. And then someone was taking that Excel and manually converting it to a quote. and then that quote was being sent to the customer. It was very, very slow and inefficient. Take all of that, and we said we can't do this anymore. So we embarked on this journey, and really the journey is about standardizing and simplifying. Alex mentioned that. So standardizing so that we can have good pricing that we can use across the world and measure against each other and against our competitors better, and have consistency. One of the other things that we were always lacking is understanding where we were. So what the approval processes were not good and certainly not efficient. So pricing was all over the board. We had, again, as I said, slow, inefficient ways to get things to the customer, and the customer's feeling that. What did we do? We said we've got to implement something new. We said Salesforce, and that's our overall CRM, and CPQ. And the key to all of this was implementing CPQ. And it wasn't an easy process. It was, and not because CPQ wasn't easy, because, well, I'll be honest, it isn't easy, but it's well worth it. The key here is that making change happen was hard. And I think one of the things that I like to bring up when I talk about PolSource and what they bring to the table is they bring technology, they bring expertise in the tools, but they help bring the transformation together. They help bring the change management together, listening and taking apart what people say they need and turn it, well, most of the time want, and turn it into what they need is a big part of that process. And it's hard work, but we work through that together. And again, it was a long process. I would say it took us the better part of a year to get implemented in about half of our business. And then the rest of the business was implementing CRM CPQ in the following year. So we fully implemented. And as Alex alluded to, right along the way, as we were finishing CPQ, we bring field service and the Service Cloud along. And that's, again, added significantly to the efficiencies. I wrote down a note. You might have seen me writing while Stephen was talking. I wrote down a couple of notes because information for the technicians on what a customer needs is one of our biggest complaints. Because technician gets to the job site, has a list of things they need to do, and come to find out that it's not what the customer needed. It was misunderstood, by the way, by the 2 or 3 people that were translating it between the customer and the technician getting there. Field service helps solve that. Then when the technician gets there, they do now know better what they need to do. And now they have in their hands the information they need to do it. Information's available to them real time, coming out of both our systems and our equipment systems, and all the links are there. That's the key. We're no longer desperate. We are and separate. We're connected, integrated systems, and almost to a state where we can do we can run a project and run a job for a customer without any separation. We have everything lined out together. That is a big step forward. Taking it, if you take that to the next step, thinking about an FSQ world, which takes where we are now and advances that, the ideas are limitless. And I think that it would benefit all of us to take a look at how we do our business and continue to evolve. And that's what a partner like PolSource helps us to do. I don't want to get on a soapbox because I have a very bad habit of saying too many nice things about PolSource. I do want to get to the bottom line of what happened. In the last 2 or 3 years, as we implemented all these tools, we've seen many benefits. Improved sales. We got rid of that darn Excel spreadsheet and every version of it. Include productivity. Improved bottom line, improvement in what the quote, what the job size is or what the order size is. And that's been a big one because we were missing things on the quote. And by bundling and things of the sort that CPQ allows us to do, we no longer miss those things. So our order sizes have increased in a really nice way. And again, I'd like to repeat, improved customer. I don't know what's happening while I'm echoing now.
James, if you mute, or whoever the host is.
So I'm muted on my side, but Donna, I don't hear an echo, but I'll go back on mute.
Okay. Now I'm not echoing. I'm sorry. I just want to put a sort of an exclamation point at the end of this to say that we achieved a lot. We have a lot more work to do. Big benefit in improving our order size. Big improvement in order in the understandings of the connectivity and people having the information they need when they need it, all in one source. But I don't want to understate the fact that we've got improved customer satisfaction because of this work that we've done. And that's the only reason any of us are in business. And all of this comes out of a lot of hard work and effort and expertise that we did with Salesforce, PolSource, and a pretty intense project team here at Aggreko.
Excellent. Well, Donna, thank you greatly for sharing your story and for all that wonderful information and the benefits as well. It's been a thrill working with you, and I know the team echoes those sentiments, and we look forward to continue our partnership into 2021 and beyond. So again, thank you very much for taking the time to join us today.
Happy to represent.
Thank you. You bet. Excellent. Well, now I'd like to kind of shift into some Q&A. So again, the poll is open. Feel free to submit that through into the discussion there, and we'll make sure to answer all your questions. So first question we have is, I think, Amit, this would be for you. How much does the field service quote application cost?
It's a good question. It's a bad echo. Let's try again. Better. So yeah, so there is no direct cost for licenses. This is not an app exchange app that we sell for the license of the FSQ app itself. This is more of a package configuration that we have ready to set and go for every FSL and CPQ customers that we have. The cost of implementing FSL would be within the implementation itself. Since it is good and ready to go, if the customer goes with what we have in mind, most of the cost would be based on setting up the data, on those product offers, those upsells, those quotes that we have for the field. Typically, I would say within a week. I don't foresee it extending more than a week, but there are of course licenses costs which are directly with Salesforce themselves for the CPQ licenses and for the field service licenses.
Gotcha. Actually, that was our next question: was can you run PolSource Field Service Quote without Salesforce CPQ?
No. The Salesforce the FSQ is tied to the CPQ, to the SteelBrick objects. So you must have the CPQ licenses. Anything regarding cost of those CPQ licenses can be directed to your AEs, RVPs. They'll know how to answer.
Great, thank you. Another question is, does our field service quote application work with assets?
Okay. So the FSQ is, as you saw, FSQ was based on what we showed you on our demo, is that we are generating quotes that are based on, generating offers that are based on the installed assets. However, we can also pull offers that are based on the market or based on the customer. So for example, Aggreko can target specific customers or specific markets to have specific offers which are not necessarily tied to the products that are installed. So we can use FSQ directly or indirectly to the installed assets.
Great. You spoke in your presentation, Amit, about some good use cases for field service quote. Are there any use cases that you could highlight where maybe field service quote isn't a good fit?
So I think, again, that rule of thumb that I brought on one of the slides that I spoke about, I think that's the best lead for us to understand if FSQ is a good offer or not. Since we focused FSQ to be a supporting tool for a field service engineer to sell, it is not complicated enough to support very complex selling flows. So if your product needs a salesperson, a dedicated salesperson, a trained salesperson to sell it, then FSQ is not for you. If your products can be sold by your field service engineers, then yes, FSQ is for you.
Great. Well, thank you, Amit. Greatly appreciate that. Perfect. So I know we've got a couple of minutes here left in our allotted time, and I want to jump ahead to, how would you get started? So PolSource here is kind of a follow-up. We would love to schedule a free PolSource field service quote discussion with you, with our consulting team. Again, part of that engagement, we would love to provide you with a Salesforce diagnostic report for free, and really engage in a current state discussion around how you're leveraging CPQ today around Revenue Cloud, as well as under Field Service for Service Cloud. Really, again, working with Amit and Alex and myself and our consulting team to work with you to kind of take a look at your current state business. Again, how your field service is being managed today, and really come up with some options where Field Service Quote might be able to help you and your organization drive more revenue. So as a follow-up, everybody who attended today, I'll be reaching out to you to see if we can secure a call maybe within the January timeframe, as I know we're kind of coming to the end of the year here and calendars get a little bit tight, but would love to connect with anyone who's got interest to learn a little bit more. As we said, there is no cost to the Field Service Quote application from PolSource. It's not a licensed application. It's just the cost of configuring that for your organization, but you will need both Field Service and CPQ from Salesforce. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Donna from Aggreko for joining us, as well as Stephen from Salesforce. Alex and Amit, thank you greatly for your time and your expertise around Field Service Quote and CPQ. I hope everybody found today's webinar to be extremely informative and useful. We look forward to reaching out and connecting with everyone who is able to attend, and wish you all a happy holiday season. Thank you very much and have a great day.
Thanks,
Happy holidays,
Thanks,
everyone.
Donna, Stephen. Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.